City Council Chambers, 6:45 PM, Safety and Public Works Committee meeting. We have 5 items on our agenda. We're going to make we made one change. We're going to make our 5th item our first, and that is to consider enacting an ordinance regulating massage therapy businesses. And presenting this one is Chief Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To address rising criminal activity and concerning conduct at local massage therapy businesses, staff seeks council direction on implementing a local regulatory ordinance. Unlike most states, Minnesota does not license massage therapy at the state level, prompting many cities to adopt their own licensure requirements to ensure public safety. Staff is requesting direction from the council regarding the drafting of a proposed ordinance to regulate licensing and business practices for massage therapy. You'll see in my additional comments there, just over the course of the last year, we've encountered some concerning activities at several businesses. One of them, as illustrated in the Brainerd paper, you might be aware of, was a massage therapist that alleged to have conducted 2, possibly 3 acts of criminal sexual misconduct. And also along with that, we've had 2 other establishments when we've looked at complaints regarding them have identified their therapists having previous criminal histories for prostitution associated with massage therapy businesses. And what we would like to do is take a look at a regulatory ordinance that through the licensure would allow us to perform some background checks and some checks and balances on this industry that's really not regulated in Minnesota. So I guess the recommended motion before you is to direct staff to draft a proposed ordinance to regulate licensing and business practices for massage therapy.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions or comments that the committee may have? Mr. Chesak.
Anybody know an potential cost for this service or licensing, whatever, certification?
As far as a licensing fee imposed upon the proprietors?
Yeah.
Yeah, and can't speak to that. I'll be honest with you, Jeff. We've discussed this item at a very high level. Haven't really focused in on some of the specifics. First step was to come to council and see if they had the appetite for us to move forward and really start looking at this.
Do you know how many in Brainerd we have? How many massage?
I really don't, because once again, they're not licensed, they're not regulated. I think there's some that work out of their home, some that travel. Not all of them are brick and mortar businesses, so it's really hard to give you a number with that.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Yeah, just real quickly, Ms. Davis, what we're really trying to get to is we're trying to get to a mechanism that allows you to do background checks on the people that run these. Is that right?
I would say that would be the primary thing, yes. Taking a cursory look at some other ordinances, there are some other business practices I could see coming back and recommending. I'll just give you one, for example, maybe hours of operation, really no different than maybe some of our liquor licensing and ordinances. And, with the concept that if you're open for business at 3 a.m., there might be some questions as far as what type of business practice that is and so on and so forth. But primarily it would be the background checks we'd be looking to do.
Understood. Thank you.
Very good. Well, I think it's worth looking into, and I think that's the request that you have, is just simply for a draft ordinance, something that would come back to the committee and or council for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'd move staff's recommendation.
Yeah, well, I'm going to just finish if you don't mind.
That's okay.
Just a couple other comments, but I was just going to say to staff, if this does move forward, I recall the county took a look at this, and so they may have some language or some resources, I guess, to potentially look at. So, James, you had a comment.
Yeah, we would look into other municipalities on provisions they may have in there, as well as what other municipalities and counties may be charging for a fee, so we'd be consistent with the others.
Yeah, I remember that conversation being had at Crow Wing, and I don't know, year and a half ago or something like that. So, entertain the motion then?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, apologies for interrupting you, but I would move that we approve staff's recommendation to come back with a draft.
Second.
All right, thanks. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Of course, motion carries. All right, thank you very much. We moved our fifth item to the top. You didn't miss anything.
Thank you.
As you're coming in. So back to the original top, the first item, or the second item now, is direction requested for Bolig complaint on stormwater easement adjacent to County State Aid Highway 48 and Engineer Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a lot of the item is very similar to what the council had seen at the previous meeting. We did, excuse me, we did add to this the discussion meetings that council requested that staff have with Mr. Bollig. We had 2 different meetings with him to hear his concerns and receive feedback for what he was requesting. Essentially, a stormwater engineering study be performed on how the piping could be essentially bypassed around the stormwater easement that is in the back of his property. The other part that staff included with this revision of the item was that just some of the considerations for the alternative based on that request. We're roughly looking at $100,000 study to be performed on that. It's very variable on what the scope and scale that we would ask for. But based on the conversations that staff has had with both Crow Wing County staff as well as the city attorney, staff's recommendation is that the city does not explore a stormwater engineering study at this time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dean. Any questions or comments of the committee?
If I could.
Yes, Mr. Chesak?
Jesse, is this the actual stormwater retention pond that is behind Mr. Bullock's house, or is it something else?
It wasn't designed that way. It was designed as, well, it wasn't really designed. I would say it's a low point in the area. So it's kind of where everything flows to. It wasn't necessarily designed as a retention pond, but that's how it functions.
Does staff argue Mr. Bullock's point that there was never a water concern that he has had for 20 years up until the southwest Brainerd reconstruction of all the streets was completed? Is that something you have contention with, or I know that's been addressed in the meetings we're in. Is that something you agree with or disagree with?
Can you clarify that one more time?
Well, he never had anywhere near or anything with water problem at all until the southwest Brainerd street reconstruction or construction projects were administered and completed. And when they put in storm water system and all that. Is that something staff has contention with regarding what Mr. Bullock is stating?
I couldn't advise you that way. It wasn't something that I personally experienced or observed 20 years ago, so that would be between him and the council for a discussion. I can tell you that what's included in the packet was a study and the calculations that were performed with the staff at the time, that the stormwater would be held within the drainage easement area. As far as I understand, that's where that water is stayed. It hasn't encroached beyond the easement area.
It hasn't encroached beyond the easement? Okay, so even though his property is within that easement and he's losing trees and he all sorts of refuse and stuff, when the water get a ½ inch to an inch of rain on any particular rainfall, he experiences all those difficulties, lost numerous trees, and that's something that we would anticipate based on, that's something that'd be expected, is what you're saying, over the course of all these years? Is that what we're hearing?
What I would advise the council is a drainage easement is specifically withheld for stormwater drainage, or natural drainage, I suppose, as well. But that was the intent of the drainage easement at the time. What the expectations are, I couldn't advise.
Okay. But did Mr. Bullock have any say in that easement as far as where the water was going to go regarding, he has a property there, he built his house, yada, yada. So does he have any say as far as whether that could go there or not? Do we know that?
I can't advise on that. All I can tell you is that the area was platted with the easement on it.
Okay.
So I don't know what the expectation would have been at that time.
So his claim, though, is that up until the Southwest Street reconstruction or construction project, or were all dirt streets, I'm sure you all remember that, and he had no water problem whatsoever. I think water, whatever did come through there, was insignificant to cause any issues for him. And when the street project was completed, he started having all these problems going back almost 25 years now. And I mean, that's troubling to me. And not only that, he has it's not just Mr. Bolig. He has two or three neighbors as well that are experiencing the similar issues. And I guess it's easy for us to sit here and say, well, you know, it's too bad. That's where he chose to live. There's a stormwater easement going through there, and now he has to deal with it. And, you know, there have been numerous things we've done for people who have had issues over the years. I guess Tad and Kevin, we filled in a gully for nearly over $1 million in Southburn over by your place, Tad. I think you know about that. I'm sure you do, Kevin? No. As a natural gully, we have outfall over on N Street. That was something erosion took, you know, that cost us a lot of money. We fixed a fence for the property owner and did some other things over there. It just seems like because this is something we don't feel we have a responsibility for. And there's one thing I would mention, that there are council minutes from 2004, February 17th, where the council made a motion, unanimously approved, that the staff get together, engineer and Mr. Bolig and the county engineer, and come back with a resolution. And as many times as we talked about giving staff direction and making sure it gets followed up on, that was never done. No report was ever come back with. So this man's been dealing with this for over 2 decades. And I don't know where we say, okay, let's help them, let's not. Is it all about the money? I sometimes look at what is the right thing to do. As a property owner, any of us would say, if this was happening in my backyard, I want the city to do something more than just saying, well, it costs too much money. And I've heard Mr. Broyles talk about employees with a servant's heart. Well, I think we should have the same type of heart, a servant's heart, and that's where we serve the public. Mr. Bullock is our constituent, and he deserves to be represented. So that's all I have to say right now.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Any other comments or questions of staff at this point? All right, so, yeah, Mr. Bolig is of course here. Do you want to, I know we've heard you speak a couple times, but go ahead and come on up to the mic if you'd like to share some other thoughts, and name and address, of course.
My name's Danny Bolig, 1001 Annabeck Street. And like you said, I've been here and I've met with Paul in the past. Anyway, we're getting, this resolution or whatever they just brought forward is getting way out there. And unfortunately, it went this direction. I'm just going to give you a quick background. I called Jesse in April or May because he's a new city engineer, basically to come and look at, do an on-site inspection. I had a couple of concerns at that time, and during that on-site inspection, I brought him up a date of some of the history. During these last 2 meetings that we've had, we're focused on long-range plans, and my question to Jesse at the time, and he's the one that told me I needed to come in front of the city council. The question I had before him is, what can we do to alleviate the mess in my backyard, number one, and number two, we were looking at long-range issues. I have Jesse's voicemail in my pocket. I'm not going to read it. But he basically said that I needed to come to city council because some money was going to be involved. The 2 things that I asked for is a fence up my property line with a silt fence in it, so when the water does come, all the stuff that is in my neighbor's backyard, basically their backyards are unimproved, mine's improved all the way to my property line. That stuff wouldn't go into my yard. And number 2, bowl out the existing pond farther to the south, make it a little deeper, lessen the amount of water that's coming into my backyard. This recommendation that they just put forth today is a long-term recommendation. That is not why I went to Jesse to begin with. I went to Jesse for two concerns, and during the discussion, we were directed to have these meetings, and we got into the history and all the backlog, which there's a lot of it, and what a lot of people don't understand is it's right on my plat. That's a temporary easement, and the city has it's between the landowners in Crow Wing County. There's nothing, no piece of paper that the city can provide me that they have authorization to put stormwater in my backyard. But the two main issues that I wanted addressed was the silt fence, the fence, and possibly bowling out the drainage a little bit to lessen the effect on my yard. As far as it not going outside the easement, that's totally wrong. They've never come and done an on-site. I think Kevin was here and I showed him where it was to the south. The back property line on my property, there's about 15 feet that goes to a hill to my neighbor's property. That is flooded right up to that hill. The easement is my property line. So it does go outside the easement area as defined currently. So I think that kind of goes to the point that possibly maybe that the couple of trees have to come out. I could do it in a day with I don't think you need any engineering studies to take a little dirt out, put it up on the bank, take a few trees down. Most of your other drainage ponds around town, I reference the one on South 6, it's completely fenced. I'm just asking for a fence up the affected area up my property line with a silt fence. That was the two issues, and Jesse can verify that at that constant, during these meetings, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, it all needed to come up, all the history, the back history, and this, what he's recommended today, is a long-term fix. I didn't ask for a long-term fix. I wanted him to be aware of it, and in the future, yeah, let's look at, right now, my feelings are the city is illegally dumping stormwater in my backyard with no property owner notification of when it happened in 2001, nothing. They just arbitrarily tapped into the county's line and started dumping water in my backyard.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Boleg. Bring it back to the committee here. I guess just question of staff. Just hearing what Mr. Boleg is proposing about, we'll call it a simple fix, so to speak, a silt fence, bowling out and creating some depth. Is that, can you?
We had a long conversation about this on his site. I advised against the idea of the silt fence. It's not designed to take on essentially any kind of flowing water. Essentially, the first decent sized rainfall is probably going to blow that silt fence out, and you're going to have some more debris of the silt fence sitting down. So it's going to be a challenge to have that maintained. It's not designed that way. It's not designed to carry water. It's designed to keep erosion within like a construction site, for instance. So that's not what the silt fence is designed for. As for the bowling out more of the easement area, we discussed that at length as well. The concern I have is expending time, effort, and potentially a chunk of money, and it may not have the desired effect, which is why the stormwater design study be completed so we know what we're getting into, how far out does it have to go, how deep do you have to go. Again, we're working with an easement, so it'd have to be not only just the county's got to be involved, but the area that you're excavating and where you're going to place the material. There's just a lot of things that go into that, and we want to make sure that if we're going to expend time, effort, and money into it, we want to make sure that it's effective, thus the study.
This kind of reminds me of a situation at the corner of Spruce and South 6th, that pond there, right by National Bank. I know there was a property adjacent to that intersection or that pond that had experienced a lot of damage to their home. And I know that took a long time. It wasn't there was no quick fix to that. I think we explored some insurance options. The city's insurance, I don't think was able to help the homeowner. And I don't know, Jesse, if you're familiar with that situation. Paul, I didn't want to put you on the spot. It was in a past life, but would you feel comfortable speaking to
Yeah,
that? Or-
yeah,
I
so
know
that
was a priority.
project-
It wasn't an easement situation, but
Right, yeah, that was a city-owned parcel. That project really came to light when MnDOT started talking about the reconstruction of South Sixth Street and needing somewhere to divert stormwater from the trunk highway onto a parcel that could be used for stormwater retention. And so, yes, there was multiple problems previous to that South Sixth Street project taking place. And it really ended up being a joint project between MnDOT and the city, knowing that that pond was a problem to begin with because of some of the higher intensity rain events that we've seen over the last 10 years. And MnDOT needing somewhere to divert stormwater from the trunk highway. So again, there's stormwater across the city that's shared between jurisdictions. MnDOT shares stormwater with the city shares stormwater with MnDOT, the county shares stormwater with the city. There are no written agreements that take place during that process. When you're looking at stormwater, you have to look at the system holistically. It doesn't matter where water is coming from, whether it be a county road, the city streets. When we do drainage studies, we look at the whole drainage area and size pipes accordingly to be able to take the drainage, whether it's from a trunk highway right away, from a county right away, from a city street right away. We size the pipes appropriately, and there's no agreements that take place during that process. Everyone just works collectively together to make sure that the project functions as it's constructed. And so wherever you go in the city, there are no agreements in place of sharing stormwater in any fashion.
okay.
At least not that I know of.
Well, thank you. Well, I guess what about the MOU that we have then with the county that's referenced here? I mean, is that,
That was something that we tried to put into place when I was in Jesse's seat, to try to help keep the site at least clean of debris, clean up the site, and the split is based on the stormwater calculations that were done back in, I don't know what year it was, 90s. Based on how much stormwater the county is diverting to that easement and how much the city is diverting to that easement. That split was calculated at that time to figure out what the cost share would be on any maintenance that's performed in that area. Because it is a county-owned easement.
Mr. Chair.
yep, yes, Mr. Chesak?
When the water goes in behind Mr. Bullock's house, where does it just filter out into the landscape? Is that what happens to it eventually?
Yes, sir. That's the low point of that whole area.
Okay. And then, it's pretty hard to argue, though, that Mr. Bullock did not have any problems with that low point prior to the street construction that the city initiated and completed back in '01. And that's the part here that bothers me, that we just said, oh, too bad, you live there, you're gonna have to suck it up. So I'm not in favor of spending $100,000 just on a study. If we could put $100,000 to doing something that would actually affect a change, that would be more in my line of thinking. But to go a little further on a study, could you just give me an idea, Mr. Dean, or maybe even Paul, what you would anticipate from that study? What would you hope to see if there was something to be found that would help alleviate the issue at hand?
Right now, that's something to be decided once the council gives staff some direction on how they want to go. If there was a study to be done, staff would first recommend having maybe a record collection and a tabletop analysis of the sewer shed of that whole area, and then come up with some alternatives. We can go even further and have them do some field survey work to do some more verification, but it really depends on the direction received from the council at this point of what scope and scale of that proposal that we would ask for.
So just for, I guess, sake of discussion, Jeff, hearing your point about Mr. Bullock not having these issues prior to the city taking the action, or whatever year it was, this second bullet under the summary of issues that the staff has put together states, in 1987, Bullock was provided permission to install a garage with the drainage easement under the condition that the county, we're not the county, but that's what it says here, would not be held liable for damages from use of the drainage easement. That statement there would lead me to believe that regardless of when the damages began, that would, to me, that would almost support staff's rationale that we shouldn't be taking any action, we wouldn't be held liable. I'm just kind of, I guess maybe, I don't know if it's a question for staff or discussion with us, but, I mean, reading that second bullet, to me, is a bit of a counter, Jeff, to your argument there about him not seeing any damages until after a certain point.
Well, that's reflecting his garage, and he brought in hundreds of yards of fill to raise that up, and he actually has a high mark. Behind his garage, it tapers down significantly in relationship to the rest of the property going down into that low point. So he planned accordingly. The water has not affected his garage or the base of where he put in the fill. And so, I mean, that's calculated, that's understood. You need fill to get that up off that lower area. But when you then have this water that was never there, and according to Mr. Bullig, I don't know if it's true, he said that the city tried to hook up to the South Sixth Street sewer, which was the county's apparently, and it was not sized right. To Mr. Sandy's point, you have to have the proper sizing. So lo and behold, whatever they did, and this is where staff wants to be very careful about saying, well, things weren't done right back then, because that's weighs on the engineers, the staff back then. And I get that. You know, nobody wants to go around pointing fingers. That's not their job, first of all. I understood that, and they made it very clear in the meeting with Mr. Bullig. So when we look at the situation and when they can't connect to that sewer line because it wouldn't handle the amount of water that it was going to be putting in there because it was not sized right to begin with, that was their intention. And of course, then they can't do it, and the water winds up behind Mr. Bullig's house. So it's kind of like, geez, somewhere along the lines, I think somebody made a mistake. And it certainly wasn't Mr. Bullig by trying to live his life on a property that he bought that had a stormwater easement going through it. It's like, yeah, there's going to be water, but city does some things, didn't plan accordingly, and now he's stuck with this issue. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And those are all temporary easements, by the way, or what do you call the item you just mentioned there?
Okay.
Whatever that's
Well,
called.
thank you. Yeah, that was actually really quickly, and of course, we got to bring this to a head here to a vote. But staff, or Jesse, this second bullet that references that 1987 and then holding liable for damages, where is that coming from? Is that directly from the easement agreement, or?
There's a document included in here. I can't remember which attachment it is. Page 6. The number 6, lot 3 garage request, that was an agreement between Mr. Bullig and the county prior to installation of the garage.
Okay. Denny, you want to come back up and give you the last word here? Give you just one or 2 minutes, and then we gotta,
Just a quick thing.
we'll wrap up here.
That easement is between, that whole harmless agreement is just, if you look at the agreement that the county and the city just signed in 2024 to share cost of the maintenance, it's got the same language in it. It's something that's customary, they do it all the time. In 1987, if I would have had the amount of water in my backyard as I did after 2001, Dwayne Blank would have never signed off on it. I'll guarantee you that. Prior to the signing off, that's the second hold harmless. I have 2 hold harmless agreements that the county issued. One is for my drain field, and the other one is for my garage. They were both issued. The one for my drain field was issued in 1978. The garage is 1987. And at that time, there wasn't a water issue. If there would have been, I would have never got approval to do what I did. And the hold harmless agreement is just a formality that they use to, hey, if anything happens,
Protect
we have a
themselves
100-year
against
flood,
liability.
you can't hold us up, and that's all it is.
Okay.
But they predate the action that the city took in 2001 by putting 70% of the water that is currently going in my backyard comes from the city, 30% comes from the county. That's the
Okay.
agreement that they signed.
Thank you, Denny. All right, bring it back to the committee if there's any other final thoughts. Otherwise, we'd be looking for, I guess, I don't know, the hold harmless, the language was put in there intentionally to protect the county, I'm assuming. And in that case, I think, you're looking to have the city do something in that case. So any other thoughts or comments before we? As of now, I don't think there's really any action it's incumbent upon us to take unless someone has a motion, one way or the other.
I would move that we bring the staff's, it's not a recommendation, but we bring back a proposal to the council to consider having the city look at a consultant engineering firm to investigate this issue. That's my motion.
Thank you. Just to, well, there's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion. Is there a second? All right, hearing none, motion fails for lack of a second. And as I said, there's really nothing incumbent currently that the city needs to respond to, so the motion fails, and we're on to our next item. Next item is plat excuse me, I'm on to the wrong one here. Item number, was our number 2, so now our number 3 is design construction for engineering proposal, improvement 2505 Southeast Brainerd reconstruction project, and engineer Dean.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the interest of time, I'll try and quick summarize. With BPU getting some funding for lead service line replacement, staff is recommending executing a contract with Bolton and Mink to do construction, administration, and design for next year's reconstruction project. The recommendation includes award of that contract to Bolton and Mink in the amount of $430,186 and can answer any additional questions.
All right, thank you very much. Bring it back to committee if there's any questions or comments.
To approve.
There's a hand up, Jeff, if I could hold off just a moment. Director Sandy.
I'll just comment that the BPU Commission entered into an agreement with Bolton and Mink to provide design and construction administration services for the lead service line portion of this project. And so having some internal discussions with staff, we thought it prudent to at least bring a proposal in front of the council to keep the same firm involved in the project across both the city's reconstruction and BPU's lead service line project. That's what you're seeing tonight.
All right.
So BPU did approve that lead service line proposal at their last meeting.
Excellent, thank you very much. And then, now entertaining that motion, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, brings us to our 4th item, approve amendment request from SRF Consulting, Trunk Highway 210, Washington reconstruction. And it's Engineer Dean again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before you is an amendment request from SRF for some of the design work for next year's reconstruction project on Washington Street, Highway 210. A majority of the amendment request is for some additional design work that they had to do for the lighting system that was beyond what was originally expected with the original proposal. There was a $15,000 allowance for some other sub-consultant work that they didn't need. The original number is roughly about maybe $80,000, but we were able to reallocate the $15,000 to take a little bit of a bite out of that. The $65,000 is kind of I'd say the remainder of that cost incurred for their design work. So staff is recommending the approval of the contract amendment in that amount.
All right, thank you very much. So if I'm understanding that correctly, about $80,000 is the amount, the 15% kind of contingency, so to speak, and then the 65? Could we think of it that way?
Give or take, yes.
All right, but the request is just the 65. Any other comments or questions on this item? So, Councilman Yeager?
Yep, I'm just going to go real quick here. I'm assuming we don't have anybody from SRF here or online.
No, not I'm aware of.
So I have a question, and maybe you can shed a little light on. So when I look at their scope of services and I do the breakdown on the hours compared to the actual cost, I come up with $204.37, $149.62, $163.63, and $193.75. Those seem like very odd amounts broken down by hours. Can you, and if you can't, I totally understand, but it just seems odd to me that an hourly breakdown to an even amount with a zero behind it came out to uneven numbers in all four categories at all different amounts.
Are you talking about the original contract, or the
In the
original
scope of
proposal?
services, yes.
So it's based on what they're expecting to do. So for instance, like the lighting analysis, they have what our standard lighting is going to be, and they have the MnDOT expectation for lighting on the corridor. So they have a certain expectation of how much time that's going to go into. It's still an estimate because we really don't know what we're going to get into until we get into it. But they have a pretty good idea when they do these proposals of how much time and effort goes into into that design. A lot of this was some above and beyond work between us, SRF, and MnDOT to get a lighting design that met the requirements of MnDOT while allowing for our custom lighting as well.
Thank you. Nothing else.
All right, thank you very much. Is there, what are the wishes of the committee? Questions, comments, discussion, otherwise entertaining a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the requested contract amendment from SRF Consulting in the amount of $65,210. And I so move.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign, and motion carries. All right, our last item, update on 2025 construction projects, and Engineer Dean. How quickly can you give the update?
I'm going to just leave it up to the council. I think I try to summarize every question that was brought up at the last meeting in that memo, but I will entertain answering any questions that the council has beyond what's in the memo or any other additional details.
No action requested on this one, it doesn't look like, just an update.
That was my expectation, was to provide the update to the council.
Very good. Any
Is there any updates since the packet went out that is pertinent?
No, sir. No,
Okay,
the
that's all.
memo
Thank you.
is.
May I?
Yes, please.
I appreciate the memo, Jesse. I just, I wish, being that this was a action outside of this committee, if you remember, I wish it would have been on the full agenda, and it will be in our report. So I'll just, if I might have a question during that report time, so I'll just hold off for now because this is something that motioned by Mr. Bevins. I think it should have been on the full council agenda. So
Very
that's all I
good.
got.
All right, thank you very much. We had moved our fifth item to the first item, so this concludes our committee meeting.